So today I did a tweet. I want to show everyone how I determine the price action of Bitcoin on a short-term basis looking at the open interest of options. And so everybody can learn and do it themselves. So basically look at, first I want to introduce Deribit. Deribit is the largest BTC option exchange in the world. And the volume is a lot higher than CME, so I use that as my basis. So you can go to their website and look at the options. So you see that in CME, for CME options, they expired on the last, I think the fourth Friday of the month. Yep, on the last Friday of the month. Whereas at Deribit, they have options on number of days during the month, so you have to check that. And so usually the largest volume would be at the end of the month, so to speak. So right now I look at the open interests of the May 9th and May 10th and May 14th. Okay, so May 9th is tomorrow, Mother's Day, and then Monday, and then next Friday. So that's why I look at first. And then in checking out the open interest on May 10th, you can see that there aren't much, so you can ignore that. On May 9th, there's decent volume. So look at the strike price and run down and look at the open interest for the various prices. And then you can see here, so this is that's open interest. So that's the number I want to focus on. So look at the volume on the volume. The open interest on for the puts. Puts is if you are bearish, and calls if you are bullish. But you have to do it kind of backwards, because people who write calls are the ones that they're selling calls. That means they're bearish on BTC. So you look at for instance, like 60,000 strike price, you have 174.8 BTC for that strike price option contracts outstanding. So looking at all that, that's pretty high. So that's a major resistance. And similarly, if you look at the puts, then you look on the other side and you see, okay, the highest one is like 128. And 126, so you can see these are supports. Okay, so it's how you read it. And when the price drop below that price, that becomes a resistance again. So kind of like your trend lines. That's how you read the open interest. And then then I look at the May 14th one, which is the one expiring next Friday. You can see that a lot more volume here, and you can see at $60,000, there's 1,821.9 BTC worth of contracts outstanding. That's pretty high. So that's the major resistance point, $60,000. And looking on the puts, the major one is at $50,000, 1,409.6 BTC. So those are the 2 points I want to focus on. So going back to my tweet. So I said I'll look at the options expiring on the 9th, 10th, and the 14th, and the one on the 10th is the one I'm going to ignore. I'm going to focus on the 9th and the 14th. And then after looking at the open interest, then I can determine the support and resistance levels. Support is at $58,000 and $57,000, and resistance is at $60,000. And looking at the options expiring on the 14th, the put call ratio is bearish. It's 1.11. So after looking at the open interest, then I can determine, like, if BTC is trading at $58,000 and above, bulls are in control. Otherwise, bears will be ruling and will be in control. So the likely range would be $56,000 to $60,000. But the maximum price, if it breaks out this range, the maximum is $70,000. The minimum price is $50,000. Okay. Then look at futures as well, because it's really important, because if the futures market is really overextended and highly levered, there'll be liquidations, and that will cause the price to drop. So that's an important metric to focus on. So look at the open interest. When open interest is increasing, usually the price is bullish. So you can see there's a slight uptick right there. So it's looking good. And also the other thing you want to look at is funding rates. Funding rates is the call will have to pay shorts. So they're quoted as rates compounded daily. So you have to analyze that usually if it's 0.1, it's like 20+% and so on and so forth. So you want the funding rates to be below 0.1% for the market to be quite stable. So right now we're at that stage. So futures are good. So now we look at TA. If you follow my tweets, I was saying that if Bitcoin falls below $53,000, we have a potential of setting up a head and shoulder pattern, but that didn't happen, so that was good. And now we're seeing an ascending triangle being formed. If you look at the target based on that chart pattern, it actually can go straight up to the price target of the inverse head and shoulder pattern. Okay, you see that? So I'm seeing if it's going to play out. If it plays out, then we can see a price target of $67,000. And then I'll just talk about that. And then I look at when it's going to happen, and it's going to happen on the 14th. And options right now, it's telling me that there's a major resistance at $60,000. So the option callers would be trying their best to hold the price in that range, so that doesn't go up above that. But if Bitcoin is going to be able to pierce about that $60,000, you can shoot up. And according to the BLX log chart, the reason why I'm using that, because if you look at the trend lines, I use that. I use the auto clone function of TradingView to the auto clone all the trend lines, and you can see that Bitcoin's been following that very closely, surprisingly. So I'm using that to determine price action of Bitcoin.